And good day, ladies and gentlemen. How's everything going out there? I'm not in the mood to shoot a video, but I decided I would, and I'll be discussing the new Senate bill Cory Booker's trying to push through the Senate, and to talk about the 10th Amendment, and why everybody needs to stop worrying about Jeff Sessions. He's an ignoramus, idiot, ignorant, weediot, asshole, anti-weed Nazi piece of shit who, instead of getting the job of Department of Justice chief looking over the DEA, where he's got the power to say, okay, we're going to put everything we can against the illegal imports of drugs coming into this country. No, what does he do? He says he's going to interdict the medical marijuana programs in the states that are already established. Is he afraid to go after the cartels, or is he getting paid off by the cartels? Mr. Sessions, I don't believe you are fit for the job, okay? Just as much as Harry Anslinger was not fit for the job in 1937. When he started this prohibition bullshit. Okay? It just pisses me off. And everybody can rest easy. We have the Constitution, and we have the 10th Amendment to the Bill of Rights. Okay, it's not just because it was in the last of the Bill of Rights ratified in 1791. Just because it's last doesn't mean it's more important. All 10 bills in the Bill of Rights, all 10 amendments, are very important. Freedom of speech, freedom to right to carry, to keep and bear arms, self-incrimination, the 5th. I take the 5th Amendment. Okay? All of these are important. All the way to the 10th Amendment. Why? Because our forefathers foresaw problems arising. So they put in a provision that says that anything that is not duly specified for the federal government in the Constitution devolves to the state level. Period. So people can stop worrying about Jeff Sessions. He's an ignorant asshole. It doesn't belong in the job. And he's afraid to go after the cartels. And he was begging the Department of Justice for money to interdict me. And my friends and my pain family, which is everybody who is pain that can be fixed by marijuana as medicine. Okay? I'm speaking out for everybody. That you don't have to worry about Jeff Sessions. Cory Booker's bill will solidify the 10th Amendment, because everything he's talking about comes underneath that amendment. Okay? We have the rights, and our states give us the rights. My state has given me the right. First it gave the doctor the right to script it, and the state backs up my doctor and me, and the federal government cannot come to my house and say, we see you smoking pot on air, it's illegal, it's a federal offense. Up yours. It's not a federal offense. I'm in a legal state doing my legal medical marijuana. Okay? If my videos get shared nationwide, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean a damn thing. I'm not pushing pot on kids. Even Senator Booker's bill even states that children, the kids' use of marijuana drops wherever it has been legalized. Why? Because it's not taboo. Once you lift the restrictions on marijuana, kids don't feel as rebellious. So they're going to go after meth, pills, heroin, coke, date rape drugs, GBH, all those things. okay? And grandma's medicine chest. Kids nowadays are going to their grandparents' house just to get in the bathroom and go through their their medicine chest in the bathroom, okay? There was even a commercial. This kid had this little box, and he was opening up in school, and he was going, well, let's see, this is for my grandma's bad hip, and this is for my grandma's depression, and and he's selling these pills. Everybody thinks that legalizing marijuana is going to open that up to children, and it's bullshit. It's totally opposite of what the opposition says. Okay? They lie, and they use bullshit propaganda and scare tactics. Just this morning, somebody shared something to me that I reshared. I can't remember what it is. I'll have to look it up on my phone. I'm in a high pain day, but I want to shoot my video now and take the rest of the weekend off. And have a 3-day weekend here. Because for the last 3 weeks, before Debbie went back to work, I've been doing a lot of extra chores. And I am just beyond exhaustion. It's just terrible. I'm even going to pause this. I'm not going to walk my way in. I'll pause it, and I'll see you guys inside in a heartbeat. Okay, there we are, back inside. Welcome to my breakfast. Coconut water. Yes, it's pink. But we use this Harmless Harvest. These things are about 10 to 12 bucks for a bottle. Me and Debbie split the bottles. There's nothing in here except organic coconut water. That's it. And it's good it's got potassium, 15% of your daily potassium, 15% of phosphorus, magnesium, calcium, very low carbs, there's 14 grams of sugars, but they're natural sugars that your body uses and produces. And it's excellent. I use it. I've been on mostly a liquid diet, anti-inflammatory smoothies and stuff. So you'll see me drinking a lot this morning. I'm on my second cup of coffee. I got my coconut water. And this here is a 2-to-1 mix. Almond milk and hemp milk. Tastes awesome. I missed milk for years. Well, this almond milk that Silk makes and Almond Breeze is also a good brand. Very good almond milk. And for anybody that's lactose intolerant, it's excellent. No lactose. No diarrhea, no anything. Oh, let me get to something here. The 10th Amendment, or Amendment X of the United States Constitution, is a section of the Bill of Rights that basically says that any power that is not given to the federal government is given to the people or the states. Now, how does the 10th Amendment limit the powers? The 10th Amendment to the Constitution limits the powers of the federal government to those provided for in the Constitution and its amendments, with all other powers being reserved to the individual states and the people. Me, you. So what are the rights protected by the 10th Amendment? It says, not delegated to the federal government in the Constitution, devolves to the state levels. Now, let me go to Cory Booker here. I had a nice little thing about him. Here it is. Dun, dun, dun. This is from the Washington Post. Senator Cory Booker puts marijuana legalization at the center of his new racial justice bill. Yes, because there is a disproportionate amount of African Americans. More African Americans are incarcerated and targeted by police. And no matter if the police are white, black, Mexican, whatever, there's always been an unfair targeting of the African Americans. And all my African American friends out there, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the KKK. It makes me ashamed to be white. The South African government and what they did for years with apartheid. But everything's coming around. But this book here, this Senator Booker, okay, on Wednesday it says, this is from August 1st, so that's last week, he introduced legislation that would legalize marijuana, expunge federal marijuana convictions, and penalize states with racially disparate arrest or incarceration rates for marijuana-related crimes. In other words, unfairly targeting certain races, and not just African Americans, Hispanic Americans. Whether you're from Puerto Rico, Cuba, Mexico, it doesn't matter. They're unfairly targeted too, and I think it's wrong. I'm very anti-racist. I loathe and despise people that base things on color or faith, like the KKK, burning crosses, they think they're the moral right, and Christians and the blacks don't belong on this earth, and it just, people like that just, and Jeff Sessions, the reason I'm bringing up that is Jeff Sessions is, I don't know, Sessions wants to attack things that he has no business attacking. He should be going after the cartels instead of trying to go after the legitimate medical marijuana programs, which is protected. That's why I wanted to bring up the 10th Amendment first, is everybody can stop worrying about what Jeff Sessions says. He does not have the pull. And since 1791, and after that, the 17 more amendments to the Constitution, for 27 amendments. The first 10 is the Bill of Rights. All 27 amendments give power to the states and individual people. And let's see, the changes here are aimed at undoing some of the harm the nation's decades-long war on drugs has inflicted on poor and minority communities. Like Bernie Sanders introduced 2 years ago, Booker would remove marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act. This would remove it from the purview of the federal DEA and allow states to set their own policies. And I hope he's got a provision in there that says, hey, Department of Justice, stop trying to screw around with what's happening in the United States. Stop the drugs coming in across the borders or the ports of entry in LA, New York, up and down the coasts, okay? There's millions and billions of dollars worth of illicit drugs being imported to this country. Why go after legal medical marijuana programs in the states which are protected by the Constitution and Bill of Rights? Why? Big pharma, oil companies, lumber companies, plastics manufacturers, because anything hemp can do, anything oil can do, hemp does it better. Trees, cotton, everything. Hemp is better, 4 to 10 times better in all respects. Less water usage, no dangerous poisons on the crops. And hemp has 50,000 or more industrial applications. Everything from perfumes and makeups to shampoos and body washes to hemp milk. So, Booker's bill would go considerably further. It would withhold some criminal justice funding from states that haven't legalized marijuana if they exhibit racially disproportionate arrests and incarceration rates. In other words, if they seem to be going after racists, it just hit me what I was going to talk about on Jeff Sessions. Well, talking about race. Harry Anslinger, the first drug czar in 1937, when alcohol was legalized, he needed something else to maintain his job. So he blamed marijuana on the African Americans and low-life Mexicans. Yes, he was a bigoted racist, as well as an anti-weed Nazi. And it pulled marijuana off the United States pharmacopoeia, which is where it was for over 100 years, as having medicinal value. Okay? They've known for 7,000 years that marijuana has medicinal value. And in all the time that man has been here, 10,000 years of hemp and cannabis use, nobody has ever died as a result of utilizing these plants. Unless a bail falls on you or you're in an illegal drug deal and you get a shot. That's the only way marijuana will kill you. Or if there's a serial killer who named himself marijuana. But Jeff Sessions said back in the 90s, or late 80s, early 90s, he had the balls to say, I used to think that the KKK was okay. You hear that? Does that sound right? He said, until I found out they smoked pot. That tells me Jeff Sessions is a racist and a bigot also. To say that the KKK was okay until he found out they smoked pot? I'm sorry. From day one that I've known about the KKK, I have not ever thought there's one single freaking thing that is okay with what they do. Okay? There's thousands of deaths in the southern states that have been, they're unable to pin it on the Klan, even though that's what it is. Okay? And even if it's not the Klan, it's white people who think they're supreme and higher and better than everybody else. And you're not. You're fucking assholes. Okay? Racists piss me off. I don't like it. But when, just the fact that he said, I thought the KKK was okay until I found out they smoked pot. I'm sorry, I would have gone with blowing up churches and killing innocent blacks as being what's not okay. Hell, if the KKK is smoking pot, I'll bet they're actually doing less harm. Because anybody that smokes pot, what happens? You want to sit at home, eat Cheetos, cuddle with your dog, and watch cartoons. Me, I like Law & Order Special Victims Unit and Criminal Minds. Ion and USA Today play it all day. Gotta do something, hold on. Okay, had to take another morphine. It's been 2 hours now. It's almost 3 hours since I woke up. But, like I said, Booker's bill would go further, but, if disproportionate arrests and incarceration rates due to race is very wrong. In effect, this would apply to each state in which marijuana is not currently legal. Now, a 2013 American Civil Liberties Union report found that nationwide, blacks were nearly 4 times as likely to be arrested on marijuana charges as whites, despite the similar rates of use. In other words, there's 1,000 whites smoking pot and 1,000 blacks smoking pot. if they arrest 4 white people, they've arrested 16 blacks. Is basically the way it looks. So if you arrest 100 whites, you're going to arrest 400 blacks. That's what they mean by disproportionate incarceration and criminal charges. And it's wrong. Now, Booker's legislation would effectively encourage states to legalize marijuana to avoid these penalties. Funds withheld from states would be put toward a federal community reinvestment. My light going out? A federal community reinvestment fund that would receive a separate $500 million in appropriations annually. And the fund would be used to establish a grant program to reinvest in communities most affected by the war on drugs. It would cover job training programs, criminal reentry assistance, public libraries, community centers, youth programs, and health education. The bill would also create a process for expunging federal marijuana convictions and resentencing people currently serving time for federal marijuana offenses. Because this is actually going to go backwards and say all these people were wrongly charged and wrongly sentenced to disproportionate amounts of time. Like I said, if they arrest 100 whites and 400 blacks, 9 times out of 10, those 400 whites are going to get out of prison in less than half the time as those 400 blacks. And the recidivist rate, okay? Once you're a 3-time loser, those laws are just freaking ridiculous. You know, the 3-strike rules, just bullshit. Now, here, for decades, the failed war on drugs has locked up millions of non-violent drug offenders, especially marijuana-related offenses, at an incredible cost of lost human potential, torn apart families and communities, as well as taxpayer dollars. This was said by Booker in a Facebook post introducing his legislation. He added that the legislation would legalize marijuana at the federal level and go even further in an effort to remedy many of the failures of the war on drugs. This is the right thing to do for public safety and will help reduce our overflowing prison population. I said in my last video, or a couple of videos, I've mentioned that California, over the course of 10 years, I think it was, built 19 prisons, most of which are medical marijuana offenders. And they only opened one institution of higher learning, a college. 19 prisons, 1 school. Doesn't that seem unfair? Doesn't it seem like they're building prisons just for marijuana? We've got the Florence prison up the road here from me. It's almost all child molesters, chomos, because they have to keep them segregated from other inmates who don't like child molesters. I mean, even multiple murderers will sometimes say, no, yes, I kill people, but raping babies is not okay, and they'll kill these people. So they've got to actually segregate them in their entire prison. So that the entire Florence prison is almost all child molesters. And that's for the safety of the prisoners. Because, like I said, murderers would rather kill a child molester. But we do have an overflowing prison problem. And they talk about criminal entitlement. Correctional Corporations of America is built on medical marijuana, or is built on marijuana legalization or prohibition. It's built on prohibition. Most of the Corrections Corporations of America, most of their prisons house marijuana offenders. And yes, it's not right. And the war on drugs, it's just... So, let's see. Drug policy reformers cheered the bill's ambitions of correcting past racial injustices and from disparate marijuana-related arrests and incarceration rates to deportations and justifications for police brutality. And the war on drugs has had a disparate harm on low-income communities and families. Dun, dun, dun. I lost my place. And communities of color, yes. Low-income communities and communities of color, said Queen Adasuyi of the Drug Policy Alliance, the group that supports marijuana legalization and criminal justice reform. They go, it's time to rectify all that crap. Now, according to the Drug Policy Alliance's estimates, Black Americans represent 14% of regular drug users, but 37% of people arrested for drug offenses. Nationwide police arrest more people for marijuana than for violent crimes, and those arrests fall disproportionately on minorities, according to the ACLU and Human Rights Watch. Booker's bill is the single most far-reaching marijuana bill that has ever been filed. Oh, my bulb's giving out. It's one of those long life bulbs. Let me see if I have a spare. Hold on. Aha, okay, I'm back. This is what my little light here. It's just a little desk lamp, you know, with a gooseneck. This bulb here has lasted for 7 years. And I use it almost constantly. Because this is where I do my coloring. I do all my work, my poems when I'm writing poems. This is my work area. And my bed. Well, let's get back to this bill now. So, I have bright light. It's much brighter than the last one. So, Tom Angel of the pro-legalization group Marijuana Majority said in a statement that more than just getting the federal government out of the way so that states can legalize without DEA harassment, this new proposal goes even further by punishing states that have bad marijuana laws. Now, legalization skeptics, on the other hand, were unimpressed. And they say, given the opioid epidemic, which the CDC has said does not exist, no matter what Sessions and the DEA and DOJ say, there is no opioid epidemic. Okay? There may be a few bad doctors out there getting under the table or paid off by their patients a little extra cash to prescribe them morphine so they can sell it or use it. Okay, that happens. Yes. You cannot judge everybody based on the actions of a few. Okay? People have to remember that cannabis never kills anybody. Never has any negative side effects except for incarceration. And it's unfair. It has been unfair since the beginning. Prohibition is wrong. It should never have happened. Because if Harry Anslinger had never gone after and started the Marijuana Tax Stamp Act law, if they had just left marijuana alone, do you know that we would see millions of people still alive from cancers? Because they treat safely and effectively, without remission, totally clear from cancer through the use of marijuana. People knew this all the way back. They found something like a 5,000 to 7,000 year old grave of this woman that they found had cancer. And he was buried with buds of cannabis. So 7,000 years ago, they knew that anything that went wrong with the body, try cannabis. They were even trying to cure cancer 7,000 years ago with cannabis. It's taken all these millennia before people like Rick Simpson, Tommy Chong, Dennis Hill, and others have made their own concentrates of oil, of cannabis oil, that cures the cancers. Tommy Chong has cured his cancer twice. He's 99.99999% cancer free. Maybe 100% by now, I don't know. But it says here, the bill stands little chance of passing in a Republican-controlled Congress, but Booker is frequently mentioned as a leading contender for the Democratic presidential nomination in 2020. His full-throated embrace of legalization is a signal that the party continues to evolve on an issue that's overwhelmingly popular with Democratic voters. In the last election cycle, party presidential nominee Clinton never endorsed legalization, despite convincing evidence that doing so could have shored up support among younger voters. She alienated her voters. She alienated me. I'm a registered Democrat. But you could put a gun to my head and say, vote Hillary or I'll pull the trigger. And I would have still said Trump. Now shoot me. Because I don't want to get into Hillary. But public support for legalization has been solidifying since then. Voters in 4 states opted to legalize marijuana in 2016 alone, and national support for legalization in Gallup polls has reached 60% for the first time. And it keeps going up. Almost daily, people are learning the truth and facts about marijuana. And that's what my video series is all about. And my latest creation on Facebook. Cannabis Education for Everyone. Go there, learn the truth, learn the facts, watch my videos, share my videos. Warn people. I tell you, it's heavily R-rated when I go off and start with the F's and S shits and goddams and all that. Most of breakfast done now. I'll eat some peanuts, but I'll wait until I'm not talking. So, while a longtime opponent of the drug war and an advocate for criminal justice reform, Booker has evolved rapidly on marijuana issues in recent years. As recently as 2015, he declined to support legalization in an interview with Vox, preferring instead to focus on medical marijuana issues and loosening federal restrictions to make research and medical use easier. And it says, but today Booker struck a much differing tone, descheduling marijuana and applying that change retroactively to people currently serving time for marijuana offenses is a necessary step in correcting this unjust system. States have so far led the way in reforming our criminal justice system, and it's about time the federal government catches up and begins to assert leadership. And that leadership, okay, President Trump, if you ever see this, I don't know if you're seeing my tags, I don't know if my shit's getting to your desk or to where you can hear it, read it, watch it, whatever. But the president, campaign promise, leave medical marijuana alone in the states that have legalized. Now he's starting to rescind himself. He's starting to not follow his campaign promise. And he's back and forth on the fence as to getting rid of Jeff Sessions or keeping Jeff Sessions. And it's just like, get rid of him. He's a worthless piece of shit that does not belong in that job. Okay? You need somebody who is impartial. Okay? Because of the racial disparity of arrests. Okay? And to have him with his statement about the KKK being okay until he found out they smoked pot, does that sound like somebody that would get racial balance in marijuana arrests? No, it would not. He would probably push for the KKK to keep screwing with the blacks. I don't like Jeff Sessions. That's my salute to you. Here, all the way, sir. He needs to be gotten rid of. I'm sorry, not trying to give orders to the president, but President Trump, Jeff Sessions, is an ignorant racist who has no idea. He has said that marijuana is as dangerous as heroin. Tell me how many people marijuana has killed, as opposed to how many people heroin has killed. The difference is 0 to infinity. 0 for pot, infinity for other drugs. Okay? When the Controlled Substances Act classified cannabis as a Schedule I narcotic as having no medicinal value, yet the government synthesizes the pill of THC, automatically it becomes medicinally valuable. That's wrong. Marijuana has been used medicinally for millennia, thousands and thousands of years. They have known that this plant heals. It ain't about getting high. Yes, there's the super stoner counterculture I'm always talking about, with the weediots and anti-weed Nazis over here, and these two cultures are totally clashing all the time. And yes, these people over here that wake and bake regularly, I can't do that. I've told you, it makes my throat rough, and it makes me cough a lot. I don't enjoy smoking weed as much as I used to. It is now a medicine, and it's sometimes a chore for me to take. That's why I like my vapes, because it's so much gentler on my throat. And my hash, I can take a smaller hit and get more of an effect without having to smoke a whole bowl. Just one hit, does the trick. Let's get out of this one now. Let's see what else I had on here. I have all kinds of stuff on my clipboard here. That one. Oh yes, here we go. New York Times. Supposed to be believable. Come on, load. As Trump said in the campaign, leave pot to the states. When he was running for president, he had 3 things to say about marijuana policy. He was in favor of medical marijuana 100%. He was skeptical of legalizing it more broadly, and marijuana policy should basically be left to the states. Now, this is from February 27th. So it says, last Thursday, spokesman Sean Spicer drew a clear distinction between medical and recreational. Medical use, he stressed, was not a concern, both because the president understands the pain and suffering that many people go through who are facing especially terminal diseases, and the comfort that some of these drugs, including medical marijuana, can bring to them, and because of the Rohrabacher-Farr Amendment enacted by Congress in 2014 that prohibits the Justice Department from going after medical marijuana in those states that legalized it. Here we are 3 years later, and Jeff Sessions is trying to do just that. He's trying to do an end run around the Bill of Rights and the Rohrabacher-Farr Amendment, and he's basically breaking federal law. But what happens? Just like Bill Clinton and I did not have sexual relations with that woman. It's all bullshit. And these politicians get away with this shit. Why? Because the people don't understand. People don't look behind the curtain to see that the wizard is not great and all-powerful. He's just running a bunch of machines. It's all smoke and mirrors. Okay? And the marijuana industry has been unfairly treated. Now, recreational marijuana, by contrast, it says, was a very, very different subject, and hence greater enforcement of federal marijuana laws could be anticipated. The 10th Amendment, if the state says recreational, the federal government has to fucking put up with it. So you put up with it, President Trump, Jeff Sessions, Department of Justice, DEA, Spicer, all of them. You've just got to put up with it because it's the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. And you cannot get the Supreme Court to overturn one single Bill of Rights. Not one single amendment can ever be changed, because the people will not put up with it, because it takes the power away from the people and gives more power to the federal government to do whatever the fuck they please. Okay? We cannot allow politicians to run our lives. Okay? We're supposed to be hiring politicians that will allow us to run our lives as we see fit. Okay? I'm not saying for alcoholics to be able to go and get all the alcohol they want. No, yes, common sense. Think. Okay? When it comes to medical or recreational pot, I look at recreational this way. If your doctor will not prescribe you medical marijuana and you have a condition that has been proven to be cured or fixed, aided, or maintained by marijuana, then if your state's legalized recreational, your doctor cannot do a fucking thing. Even if he drops you in a piss test and says you smoke pot, you say it's legal. And if he tries to dump you as a patient, maybe you should get a better doctor. But you can also sue him because he's breaking the law by saying, oh, I don't care if the state legalized recreational or not, I don't want you to have it. That is not right. And that's not a kind of a doctor I would want to see. Now it says, in pulling back from Mr. Trump's assurance during the campaign that states should be left to decide their own policies, Spicer made clear that a battle is coming over marijuana policy. And it will be a fight that pits a Justice Department headed by a fervent prohibitionist, Jeff Sessions, against the 8 states, Alaska, California, Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington, in which the voters have approved ballot measures to legally regulate marijuana, as well as other states likely to legalize in the near future. There's probably not much the Trump administration can do to reverse public support for legalizing marijuana. A Quinnipiac poll Thursday found voters in the U.S. favored legalization by 59 to 36%, with only Republicans and older voters opposed. An impressive 71%, including majorities of Republicans and older voters, think that federal government should not interfere in states that have legalized marijuana. And Gallup and other polls report similar findings, including strong majority support for legalizing among Republican millennials. What Sessions' Justice Department can do, however, is cast a chill over the rapidly growing legal and regulated marijuana industry by targeting key players with raids, seizures of property, prosecutions in federal court, and challenging the ability of state authorities to regulate the industry. And that would be shameful, given the demonstrable effects of legal regulation. Tens of thousands of tax-paying jobs, hundreds of millions of dollars annually in state tax revenue, strict oversight of cultivation, product production, and distribution, savings in law enforcement costs, and far fewer young people, disproportionately African American and Latino, saddled with criminal records. Donald Trump, the businessman, should get this, but Jeff Sessions, the reefer madness ideologue, doesn't care. Governors, attorneys general, and legislators in the legal marijuana states, including many who initially imposed legalization, are prepared to resist the federal interference in this area. See, even the anti-pot people have learned that pot cures. It helps. It is a medically viable plant that is part of homeopathic medicine. And it is the single safest substance you or I could ever ingest. I went off on one thing the other day in my last video. They've made candy, Ritalin candies for your ADD and ADHD kids. Candy flavored Ritalin. Pieces of candy the kids can suck on. Yet they don't want pot legalized because there's marijuana candies that are supposedly targeting children. You can't. The only way a kid can get pot candy is by an adult who's breaking the law by buying it and giving it to them. Unless that child is medically necessary. If it's medically necessary for that child, from seizure disorders, ADHD, okay, you cannot say that pot candy is targeting children. I'm 56 years old. I like the candies. I got my lemon and cherry drops. I like them. They even have this little thing called ganja goo. It's like salt water taffy. I can't chew it because of my dentures. But it's good. And it attracts people who don't want to smoke. You buy the medibles. Medical edibles. Medibles. That's what pot candy is. They're called medibles. And things like this. This tincture is just glycerin and THC. I just put a few drops under my tongue. Just a few drops. I don't need much. But within 2 minutes, it'll hit me almost like a whole bowl of pot. Just a few drops. It's because it's super potent and it tastes good. But it's not targeting children. It doesn't get me high. It probably gets some people high. But that's just me. That's just the way my pain level is. My pain level is so high, I've said before, I never get down to 0 where euphoria happens. I can't get that low. My pain level never drops below a 3 now. I can be a 3-4, but I've never even hit a bottom of 3 since, what was it? I think when I was taking OxyContin. But then I don't really know because I was taking those other psych drugs that had my brain all messed up. So I don't even know what kind of pain I was in for that for that 2 years. But I just wanted to cover the bill by Cory Booker and talk about Jeff Sessions and his ignorant approaches to the marijuana programs. And it still begs the question of why. Why does he want to spend money and interdict me from being healthy? Why? Why take away something that has made me healthy? Okay? Because they want me to buy fucking pharmaceuticals that they advertise on TV, telling us to ask your doctor today. Fuck that. If you have the condition, your doctor will prescribe you the pill. It does not need to be on goddamn TV. What they're doing is they're pandering to the hypochondriac population. That's the only reason all these drugs are in magazines with 3 pages of side effects and shit. Look at some of these magazines, Elle and whatever, and they'll have a page about this drug, and when you turn there, all this little tiny printing on the chemical formula of the drug and what it does and what it's supposed to do and what it may do that's not very good for you. And it's all in such fine print, people don't want to look at it. But if you just listen to these TV commercials, think. Cannabis does not do any of those side effects. For all these drugs that they're inventing, and as far as I'm concerned, they're tripping over shit in laboratories. And they're finding that Humira was originally for fibromyalgia pain, and now they're using it for different things. Botox. If you have 10 or more migraine days per month, you can get Botox injections for migraines. That shit's poison. You do not want it in your body. Do you have a problem with wrinkles? I mean, look at me right here. See all those wrinkles right there? It's not on both sides of my face. I don't care. I'm gonna grow old. I don't try to hide anything. Well, I'm kind of hiding my baldness by staying bald. My hairline's up here now. But I'm not gonna be from a young age even, when I first saw my dad starting to comb over on his bald spot, and I learned what a comb over was, I said, I will never do that. I'll shave my head bald first. And I used to love my long hair. It's great, beautiful, flowing. But I don't need my hair. I cut myself though, see those? My skin is soft, my hair is like wire. I need a fresh blade every time I shave. That's why I love the Dollar Shave Club. Go there on Facebook. Tell them that I sent you. I get $5 credit. And sometimes they send me emails that gives people a $10 credit that I can give to a person if that person wants to join the club. And I highly recommend it. They have got products like you wouldn't believe. They have the Windmaster Lip Balm. Windmaster Lip Balm. And it tells you it's from manufactured for the Dollar Shave Club in the fine print there. And it's good. They have things like body washes, lotions. They even have this thing. It's a pack of moist scented, kind of like eucalyptus, minty smelling. One Wipe Charlies are called. They're for wiping your butt when you get a really crappy butt from taking a dump. And they're great. The One Wipe Charlies are great. And I use Dr. Carver's shave butter. It comes out like a white paste. And it feels like butter. You put it on, and there's no lather. It's just butter. So you can see your beard. And it makes it very smooth. Gives me a very smooth shave. I shave my face and head 3 times a week. And I use like 2 blades for that. I have like 12 blades stocked up. And I have, and every 3 months, for $8, is the shave butter. And it's excellent. It works. Dollar Shave Club. Tell them Rick sent you. Now, as we're heading for an hour here, I'm really bad off. But I've been holding off on the pain. I've been trying to be as nice as possible this time. But I want people to rest easy. Because of the 10th Amendment and the Rohrabacher-Farr Amendment, they cannot do a frickin' thing to the already established medical marijuana laws. And They cannot stop more states, and it does not matter about Booker's bill, whether this bill passes or not. But this bill has the racial disparities in it, which I believe should be. This bill should pass, and it should not be vetoed by the president. Do not let Jeff Sessions lie you into a corner, Mr. Trump. They're all bullshit lies. This is my 110th video. 108 directly dealing with marijuana and hemp usage and legalization and everything that these plants do that is a boon for the health of the human body and our pets. I got the pet blend for our dog. She loves it. And it's making her, it keeps her young. She's 17 years old and she's still bouncing around like a puppy. It's amazing. The hemp oil helped my wife. Helped her friend back east with ovarian cancer. Helped her get through the chemo. She regained weight, got her appetite back. The tumor disappeared when the doctors thought it would just be remission. And Debbie, hemp oil, fixed her up after 18 months of no diagnosis. And I'm telling her with this thing with the hernia or gallbladder, whichever it might be, I've been telling her to double up on her hemp. Because you can't really take too much. Our bodies have a tolerance for high levels of CBD. And it's all healing. CBD is non-psychoactive. Because of that, it is non-addictive. Because there's nothing to get addicted to. Unless you're addicted to feeling healthy. And that's the main thing. The health of the people of the United States and the world rests on cannabis and hemp. The saving of trees. 27,000 trees a day just so we can wipe our asses. Big Pharma. Aspirin is supposed to be the safest pain medication. Well, you can smoke 14 joints, and you'll only get so high, and you get the munchies, and you'll be happy and hungry and healthy. You take 14 aspirins, you're going to have a stroke or a heart attack or a major bleed out inside your body. Aspirin is not safe. It's not. And it never will be. All this shit that the drug companies are inventing. I mean, adalimumab, what is that? And estucimumab, Stelara. Where are these names coming from? Okay? I studied organic chemistry, and I couldn't find these things. These are combinations of things that I think they're falling over by accident, and when they don't know what it does until they start injecting it into mice, and they get an idea of what general effects it's going to do, then they start going on humans. And the FDA approves these things as safe for human consumption and having medicinal value. Yet, it's the same FDA that a couple years later will pull it off the market as having medicinal value, yes, but it's no longer safe. Okay? It wasn't safe in the first fucking place. Why did you okay it if you're gonna pull it 2 years later? Money. It makes the world go round. And it can turn people. It turns people. Money can change people. If I hit the lottery, it wouldn't really change me much. I'd be at the casino more often playing poker. But I wouldn't turn into, I wouldn't spend $10 million on a vast ranch or anything. I'm very happy where I'm living. If I win the lottery, there's nothing really I want. I'd love to play drums again. Maybe I'll build a drum get myself another drum set and try to work out more often on it. I'll just have to put it in an outbuilding away from the house because noise will get the dog and cat all wired up. But money changes people, and money's changing hands. It's gotta be. People are gotta be paid off for this shit. To push these drugs as safe for human consumption, and then pull them later because they're no longer safe for human consumption. Well, they weren't safe in the first place, so why did they pass? Because I think Big Pharma lies about their clinical trials. I do not believe they're being truthful, and they're breaking troth with us, and that alone pisses me off. I hate having to depend on morphine and Seroquel and the amitriptyline for sleep. I hate having to do that. But they're long-term, well-respected medicines with a known profile of side effects that I have a minimum of. I bruise easy from the morphine. That's about it. That's the only side effect I feel from it. I never feel nervous because I've got the pot that attenuates the symptoms of addiction. Okay? So, it all comes down to, don't worry about Jeff Sessions. He's an ignorant asshole. They cannot change the Bill of Rights. They cannot undo one without undoing it all, and without having to rewrite an entirely new constitution, which will never happen, because the people will not allow it. Because it all comes down to us. Okay? We, the people of the United States of America, are endowed with certain inalienable rights. And they say, yeah, some of these rights are from God, but, I'm atheist, blah, blah, blah. But they foresaw problems. They wrote their Constitution. And from 1787 to 1791, they built the 10 Bill of Rights. Because they saw these as problems that were not mentioned in the Constitution. And they foresaw that there were going to be some things in the future that the state legislatures themselves should have autonomous control of. Medicine being one of them. I mean, I say some states should legalize medical marijuana, demand that it be used in medicine, and anybody that pushes chemotherapy ahead of cannabis use should be penalized. Because cannabis cures cancers. The cancer industry just puts it in remission, and they just want your fucking money. Because they want to buy a yacht or put their kids through Harvard. Okay? What about us? What about the little people? Okay? That's being unjust and unfair to us. And it just gets me riled up when I watch these commercials on TV. Watch them. Listen to these side effects. Okay? Diabetic nerve pain in your feet. But the cure might give you tuberculosis. That's not a cure. Okay? That's putting a bandage on something that's not wounded and leaving the wound open. You cut yourself here, so you put the bandage here. Doesn't make sense, does it? Well, that's the way they look at it. And there's so much nonsensical shit that comes out of DC, and I so was betting on Trump that I renamed one of my pages for him. Okay? Patriot Up for Donald Trump America. I supported him through the campaign. putting Hillary down, putting him up, because he promised to leave medical marijuana alone. Now, I don't know if he's given Jeff Sessions free reign and let him have his head to run how he wants. But no matter what, Sessions is just an ignoramus, arrogant, racist bigot that we don't have to worry about. Don't worry about him. Don't even worry about the Department of Justice, because they would not allow him the money to do what he wanted to do, which would come after me and anybody else that's a legal user. My phone's always charged up and ready. If the feds show up at my door and say, you've been smoking marijuana online and we're going to place you under arrest, I'll be live on Facebook. You'll see it all happening. And they won't keep me in jail, I'll tell you that. Because cannabis does what the anti-weed Nazis say it doesn't. So, no matter what people say, cannabis is still going to cure where the anti-weed Nazis say it won't. Luckily, cannabis doesn't give a shit what they think, and it cures people of cancer anyway. And to have the threat of somebody like Jeff Sessions wanting to come after us personally and saying good people don't smoke marijuana. How many people out there don't think I'm a good person? Put out your hands if you don't think I'm a good person. Leave a comment and tell me I'm an asshole. I don't give a fuck. Okay? What I'm doing is I'm helping to legalize marijuana for everybody else. I've got it. I don't have to do a freaking thing. But I sit here and I do all this research for you. And for these guys, the weediots, the anti-weed Nazis. Okay? I've got the facts to prove. Okay? All this scientific evidence has built up and built up and built up, and they tell us that we need clinical trials. No, the pharmaceutical industries don't do their own proper clinical trials. Why should we have to do them on marijuana when it's been proven over 10,000 years? We don't have to prove cannabis is good, because it is. It's on the anti-weed Nazis, anti-weediots, you idiots, Jeff Sessions. It's on you guys. You cannot legislate the facts away. You can't wish it away. And I said in the last video, you click your heels and say there's no place like home for medical marijuana. Sessions can't touch us. Don't worry about them. I mean, if you want to keep posting about them, fine. I'm not even going to share them anymore, because this should tell you right now, the 10th Amendment to the Constitution gives us these rights. States are learning. More than half of the country is now legalized, at least medical. It's going to keep going. It's going to be a snowball. It's going to roll down the hill. And it's just going to gather up more support as it goes down the hill. So here's to supporting medical marijuana. No champagne, sorry. But that's it. Don't worry about Jeff Sessions. Don't even worry about Trump breaking his promise. It just pissed me off. I might have to rename my Patriot page again and just say, just Patriot Up America again. And if I have to start putting Donald, if I have to start putting the president down for stupid shit like this, I will do it. Because I don't give a fuck. I will tell the truth. I will tell you exactly what I'm thinking. And I base my shit on facts. Okay? A simple little Google search, okay, can tell you so much. Like, I go right off my phone, off these websites. They're there. The truth is out there. So, let's keep the truth going. Let's keep the legalization movement going until every state is at least medically legal. Because medical marijuana is a fact. And the Controlled Substances Act of saying it has no medicinal value is bullshit. It has more medicinal value than any single pharmaceutical pill that they could ever create. And when you listen to these things, okay, you take a pill for bladder leakage. One of the side effects is not being able to pee, diarrhea, diverticulitis, tuberculosis, lung problems, brain problems, vision problems. When you see these new drugs on TV, listen. Listen to the side effects and think. Doesn't that sound worse than the fucking disease in the first place? So, thumbs up to Cory Booker, thumbs down to Jeff Sessions, and wishy-washy on Mr. Trump. Mr. President, get your shit right and get a thumbs up from me, okay? Put Jeff Sessions in his place, which is out of politics. He's too ignorant, he's a racist, and a bigot. Just from that shit he said about the KKK, and saying that good people don't smoke marijuana. I'm a better man than you are, Jeff Sessions, because I'm trying to help people. I'm not trying to hinder. Okay? That's what Sessions is doing. He's trying to hinder medical cannabis. Let's not let him get away with that shit. And Mr. President, you want to be elected in 2020? Get rid of Sessions. And tell the Department of Justice to go after the fucking cartels, because they're the ones that are bringing in the illegal drugs, and they're the ones that are the problem. And they're bringing in more than just pot. Leave medical marijuana alone, because it is proven to have medicinal value. Our 10th Amendment should actually read, we have the right to keep and smoke weed. That's basically it, though. We do. As our state gives us the right, we have that right, and the federal government cannot do a fucking thing against us. Because we have the Constitution and Bill of Rights on our side. Just like people can take the 5th Amendment in court, the right to keep and bear arms, freedom of speech, everything. Double jeopardy rule. That was in the Bill of Rights. So, that you can't be tried twice for the same crime. So I just want people to say, Jeff Sessions, laugh it off. He can't change the Constitution. He can't change the Bill of Rights. Even the president can't. Only the Supreme Court of the United States, with a majority decision. And I don't foresee that ever happening. Because SCOTUS knows that once you start deleting people's rights, what's to stop the government from doing it even worse? Okay? The stopgap is the Bill of Rights. We have that on our side, and they can't change it. And people like Jeff Sessions doesn't like it. Too freaking bad, Jeff. You're an ignoramus, racist asshole. Just like Harry Anslinger. You two would have been great together in 1937. Reefer Madness, shit like that. Just come on, people. Nobody dies from pot. Pot gives people their lives. Fact. Scientific evidence proven that people are given health. Their bodies reach this point of homeostasis, that everything is in balance. Because we have the endocannabinoid system of receptors that the cannabinoids fit. And our bodies make cannabinoids in an effort to heal ourselves. And diseases today are so bad that we need the extra pot to help heal. Fact. Medical and scientific facts will always trump, not President Trump, but will trump card anything the anti-weed Nazis and weediots say. They cannot. They lie. Christians Against Drugs keep saying that thousands of teenagers are dying from dabs across the country. Nobody's ever died. And there was this one thing where somebody shared it for me today. Let me find it. Hold on. Okay, so I got this one link shared by Edie. Thank you, Sue. A survey that shows nearly half of people using CBD, cannabidiol from hemp, non-psychoactive, stopped taking prescriptions and traditional medications. Let me get the website open. It's called from straight.com. New survey results about a well-known compound in cannabis are providing doctors with some exciting information. CBD is a compound in cannabis that isn't psychoactive, so it won't provide the users with the high or euphoria that THC does. Research has shown CBD to possess analgesic, anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety properties, and it has been found to be an effective treatment for a number of conditions, including Crohn's, multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, PTSD, among others, and cancers too. Participants in their survey revealed that they use CBD primarily to treat insomnia, depression, anxiety, and joint pain. While most men preferred THC-dominant, survey results showed that women made up 55% of CBD users. What really caught the attention of survey administrators was this. Nearly half CBD users, 42%, reported that not only did they stop using prescription drugs like Vicodin or Percocet after they began CBD, they also avoided over-the-counter pain relievers like Tylenol and Advil, which are very, very dangerous to your liver. When asked how effective patients found CBD to be in treating their condition, 80% said very or extremely effective, while just 3% found it to be ineffective or slightly effective. And I've said before that it depends on the person. Everybody reacts different. Somebody this morning asked me what they should try. And I said, try for what? Chronic pain that he has. I said, I'm getting help from Tracy's products on top of my THC weed. I'm taking CBD hemp. I don't take them together because the CBD takes away the high. I need the marijuana and THC for my pain relief. The hemp CBD helps me out in different ways. I get most of my pain relief from the THC. So I take my CBD early in the morning, and I don't smoke for like 2 hours before or after. And then I can smoke my THC weed all night, all day to night. But that was from Edie. I like that link. And there's one that says, is cannabis too lucrative to be illegal? Let's see. A guy named Dave owns a retail business in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains in California, selling everything from flat-screen TVs to furniture until Amazon crushed his brick-and-mortar warehouse store with its online merchandise. His realtor, a conservative pillar of the local church, reluctantly told him the only potential buyer was someone who would turn the building into an indoor marijuana farm. Now, he hopes his realtor can seal such a deal, particularly since Californians voted in 2016 to legalize full recreational use. The realtor may be anti-drug, but he's pro-money. And that's the direction the whole country is headed. The laws against marijuana cannot fight the free market, including the $100 billion potential in annual profits and the $28 billion in states could reap in tax revenue. Mostly important, the many forms that marijuana can morph into make it a product that's portable, potable, and able to escape detection if transported across state lines. My vape does not smell of cannabis. It probably would not alert the dogs. When people think of cannabis, they think of the growing and selling of plants. But companies are making major investments in extraction equipment to provide oils, tinctures, and waxes. Just like liquor that can be distilled into stronger forms, so can marijuana. Get back to my group here. Come on, Facebook. Where's my damn group? There it is. Okay, this is my strain of the day. There was something in here I wanted to show. Oh, marijuana associated with a threefold risk in hypertension, from hypertension. This is August 9th. Just yesterday? Yes. The European Society of Cardiology. Their summary was that marijuana use is associated with a threefold risk of death from hypertension. Did they miss something here? Okay, that nobody has ever died from the use of marijuana? Hypertension is your blood pressure's up, okay? You get red in the face easy. Your pressure skyrockets, your heart rate skyrockets, and yeah, you can work yourself into a heart attack. Cannabis does not do that. It says steps are being taken towards legalization and decriminalization in the U.S., and rates of recreational marijuana use may increase substantially as a result. And it says, however, there's little research on the impact of marijuana use on cardiovascular and cerebrovascular mortality. I'm sorry, it's already been done. And everything points to this as being a lie. They're just wrong. It's no doubt they have some anti-weed Nazis and some Jeff Sessions in their study, because it's bullshit. Let's see. In the absence of longitudinal and designed to restrict the follow-up, participants were asked. It says they merged information on marijuana with mortality data in 2011 from their National Center of Health Statistics. Researchers estimated the associations of marijuana use and duration of use with death from hypertension, heart disease, and cerebrovascular disease, controlling for cigarette use and demographic variables including sex, age, and ethnicity. Death from hypertension included multiple cases such as primary and hypertensive renal disease. Now it says among a total of 1,213 participants, 34% used no marijuana or cigarettes, 21% used only marijuana, 20% used weed and smoked cigarettes, 16 were marijuana and past smokers, 5% were past smokers, and 4% only smoked cigarettes. The average duration of marijuana use was 11.5 years. And it says the marijuana users had a higher risk of dying from hypertension. It cures hypertension. I went over it in my list of diseases in my last video. Or the videos where I did my diseases like 3 or 4 back. Okay? hypertension, PTSD, depressive, anything that gets you too wired up, cannabis calms you down. And it does not affect your heart rate. It does not affect your breathing because it does not touch that part of the brain. It doesn't. So, take everything you hear about anti-weed, take it with a grain of salt. Read my videos, watch my videos, read my posts, share my videos to tell people that you're stupid and you're ignorant and everything you're saying is a lie based on somebody else's lies. Get off your soapboxes and get with it. Get with the program. Cannabis and hemp are the future that can save this planet and the human race from the fucking plague of the 20th and 21st century. Cancer, stress, depression, anxiety, anything from colds to cancers, cured by cannabis. If you have problems with hypertension that's in you, like blacks are more prone to have hypertensive issues. They didn't say anything about race here. Think. Hypertension is very prevalent in the African American communities. Why didn't they include them? Okay? Flawed studies, flawed data. Because people pick and choose what they want. So it's time for people to stop picking and choosing. Choose marijuana for health. Choose hemp for health and the well-being of this planet. And just support cannabis and hemp legalization and hemp industry, and recreational use will allow people who have doctors that won't prescribe it. Recreational use will allow people to self-prescribe and might just be able to tell their doctor to flip off. Because guess what, doc? You told me not to smoke weed. It fixed me. You can eat shit and die. I'm going to go to another doctor. And when you go to that doctor, you say, I have already proven that cannabis helps me. You either script it to me or just leave me the hell alone. Because I'm going to do it anyway. And if it's legal, recreational in that state, that doctor can't say a damn thing. Because your state gave you that right. You have the right to health and well-being. And cannabis is the future of the health of human. It's been the past as well as the future. 10,000 years and counting. No deaths. That's it. Nothing but positive healing effects. And a little bit of euphoria that the anti-weed Nazis can't get over. It's just too far out, too far gone, too frickin' ridiculous. I'm done with it. I'm done with this video for the day. My pain level's still up even despite another morphine I took at the beginning. So, I am going to be resting and relaxing for the next 3 days. But don't worry about Jeff Sessions. Rohrabacher-Farr Amendment will stay, because that will take the Supreme Court also to undo that. And even if Booker's bill does not go through, medical marijuana is still happening across the country, and it will continue to happen. And the 10th Amendment gives us the right. So, peace, love, truth, and happiness. Let's free marijuana and hemp, the Cannabaceae family, from the prison of ignorance. Thank you.